It's very windy outside. I have been avoiding making any video, as in filming myself, in the past couple of weeks because we've had 2 heat waves in a row in the UK. I'm gonna try to keep this video short and sweet. So today is the 12th of July and I have been struggling with what to do with myself creatively in the past month or so. Basically ever since I finished writing Rules of Survival Draft 2 and sent it off to my critique partners. I have given them this deadline of the end of July and that is a good deadline. I'm happy with it. I'm not stressing because I can't get it anytime sooner or anything like that. I know I need the break in any case. Like, that is good to have in between drafts. But I refuse to get sucked into another project. I don't want to pull myself into a different writing project too much. I'm okay with dipping my toes in one, but I don't want to go any further than that because I know myself and I know I will just plunge wholeheartedly into it and will completely abandon Rules of Survival if I do that. And I don't want to abandon it. I want to be able to jump straight back into making draft 3 once I get my feedback at the end of the month, which is only 2 weeks from now. That's my goal. And so in order to achieve my goal, I'm stopping myself from getting deeper into anything else creatively, as in writing is what I mean. And so I've got this video where I promised you a part 2 and I will make it because I have been filming it, but it's just been difficult for me to fully do it while knowing it's for a video, if that makes sense, which is from idea to outline. So I did a part 1 where I explained my process and I mostly pulled from Rules of Survival as an example because that is the most recent and that is the most accurate to my current process because of that. In this video I then said I'm going to do a part 2 where I'm doing this in real time and sort of showing you how I apply this theory into an actual idea and how I bring this idea to life, you know, make mood boards out of it, prepare character details, world building sheets into my Notion page up until the point where I can start the outline. And I've been filming it slowly, but I've not been able to film myself talking about it much, and so it's not finished, and so this is not the video that I'm publishing today, even though that was initially my plan. My plan was to publish that video today. It's just not done. One of the reasons is that I have put more pressure on it now that it's going to be a video format. It was more fun to work on it and I had way more ideas when I didn't think of it as I also need to film it, when it was just for pleasure as a back burner. Second, I've been in a little bit of a slump in terms of all things creative since not working on Rules of Survival anymore, and I've tried to explain this to friends recently. I think it's because my current work situation has been not that fun and just a little bit stressful at times, and it was fine to deal with because I knew every single day I had my draft 2 to look forward to after work was done, and I would be looking forward to it so much, and I was so excited to be like, okay, and then I do something productive for myself that is sort of my almost like my revenge time for me that could lead to something else than this job, right, one day. And the moment that got taken away because I was like, I need to take a break and I need to work on other things, and obviously I have given this book to my friends to read and so I have to wait, the moment I was suddenly not working on a solid full-time like project, it highlighted the ways I was not satisfied with my current work life, and the things that were making me unhappy just became so much more evident. So I've tried several different things and none of them are fully replacing it. I have done a little bit of mood boarding. I've been spending so much time on Pinterest. I've tried to really work on this idea to outline video, especially trying to get myself more into this project. So I've done a few things like developing a Notion page, a Spotify playlist. I've even done some traditional drawing that I hadn't done in ages, and that was really, really fun to work on. And the most recent thing is literally yesterday I worked on a video mood board for another idea that kind of just came out of nowhere. I'm not saying it's a full-blown idea, it's just piecing together different ideas, and perhaps also the vibes that I've been feeling have been very Twilight-esque. I keep craving this ha 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 weather as we joke around with the, you know, the song that plays in Twilight. And I love that aesthetic in some of these playlists that people put online where they're like, what's on Bella's playlist, what she's listening to in the car park of Forks High School or whatever. Stuff like that. So I've put that together into a little video mood board that's been quite fun to do and different, just a different format. And I think I'm just experimenting and exploring. There's nothing wrong with that and I'm enjoying it, but nothing is fully occupying enough of my mind that I feel better. And I'm still feeling that slump and I still feel very unsure what I'm going to take on today, what's going to be the next thing I could be working on, what I really want to work on. It's just been really difficult and I've been calling it in limbo. I'm basically in creative limbo where I'm sort of in between those different spaces and I just don't know exactly what I want to do next because there is nothing I should be doing next because I really want to be able to, 1st of August, get back into rules of survival. In a way, I've not been good at following my own advice, which I often give other people, which is like, give yourself a proper break, as in purposefully say, this is a break, I'm not trying to do anything. I have been grasping at like different small ideas, trying to be productive while also taking a break at the same time, and I'm just not fully committing to either or, and I think that's been the issue. So I just wanted to address that. This is kind of a completely unscripted sit down and chat with me with my coffee video because I don't know how to go around this problem. I just think talking about it might help, and who knows, maybe it's just be in that limbo for another 2 weeks and then you can finally plunge back into it. But I'm also scared that at the same time, because I've been saying this so much, the moment I do get my feedback, I will be frozen in fear and I won't be able to actually start anything immediately from the 1st of August. And I'll be like, wow, I've put so much pressure on myself and I kept saying I would do this and now I can't. So I'm trying to give myself grace at the same time. I just don't want to overpromise anything to myself that I won't be able to do. But this is currently the plan. But since we're here and I feel like this is appropriate for this kind of sit down and chat video, I might as well pull this into a whole check on my goals video because I have not done a single one of those. I did set up goals at the beginning of the year and I have not done a check-in after the first quarter. And technically we're around mid-year now. We've passed half of the year, so this is a good time as any to actually take a look at the goals I set up for myself at the beginning of the year and see where I'm at. Alright, I found my list of goals. Oh, careful, don't want you to take my coffee. Very nice. Yes. So I have found my list of goals from the beginning of the year, and my word of the year was cultivate, because I wanted to work on this idea of growing, nurturing, taking care of myself, basically just making sure that I've got good soil to work with creatively, creating a healthy environment in order to prosper, essentially. I had this definition of cultivate underneath that said to take up or develop an activity, habit, interest, etc., especially for the purpose of self-improvement. I translated that into my mindset goals and my practical goals. So in my mindset writing goals, I had 1, grow the ideas I already have, and 2, work on the books I have written. I think I've been trying to work on this, but one could argue that this idea I've been building up for my little video from idea to outline is not one of the ideas that was already pre-existing in my gallery of ideas, so maybe that's my first failure of the year. The way I translated these into tangible goals, I had revise Rules of Survival into draft 2, give it to critique partners, check and check, then revise An Office for Monsters and finish draft 1 for Knights of Death. I think out of these 2, I still plan on working on An Office for Monsters because that is now the one book I really want to work on next, and I now have a more refined process for how I revise my novels that I'm excited to use for this novel as well. However, finish draft 1 for Knights of Death. The more I think about it, the less I want to work on that. The book itself has a lot more work to be done, and I'm not finding the prospect that exciting because of that, and because it feels less like who I am now as a writer compared to An Office for Monsters. Even though I wrote An Office for Monsters earlier, it had a lot more development in terms of the characters and the plot, and I think it's because I worked with the plot embryo at the time. So even though I was still a pantser, I didn't truly pants this one either. I was kind of half working with a bit of an outline, and so I'm kind of more happy with the result of this one. In comparison, Knights of Death, I worked the majority of this during NaNoWriMo, which means that it was a mess of a first draft, which was never finished, because I had around 66,000 words worked as quickly as possible with a ton of overwriting. And so there's so much more to fix. I didn't do that same mistake with An Office for Monsters, even though I wrote it earlier. My mindset goals for content creation were to work on series for YouTube, to do more teaching content, and to plan out content in advance in order to publish more. And I actually feel like I've achieved a lot of that. In terms of tangible goals for this, I had the idea to continue the vlogs for Rules of Survival, but the revision ones this time. Check. That series is now done with season 2, let's call it, because draft 2 is officially finished and I have published all the vlogs for each part of draft 2. I wanted to make a Notion for Writers series, and I've officially done 2 videos in that series, so I can also check that. I wanted to make more how-tos, tips videos for writers. I've done a few. I feel like I can still do more and I have more ideas for more, so I'm not going to check that one off yet. And I wanted to plan out videos for the different quarters of the year. I haven't truly done this, but on the other hand I have. It's just that I've not planned out, this will be for Q1, this will be for Q2. It's just that every time I have some ideas for videos, I try to write them down into my list of video planning. Then I had goals for books. My mindset goals were to cultivate better book buying habits, buy books I intend to read within the same year, read more high quality books, select more non-fiction books to learn things on new topics. And I think in general, I've been a lot better with buying less books. I've just not bought that many books at all this year. However, I've not also read that many, so that might be why. I think I'm just a lot better at not being influenced by, wow, this cover, or, you know, this influencer talked about this book and that sounds like fun. Impulse buy it immediately and then realize I don't really want to read this. So I've not done this at all in recent months. Have I been reading more high quality books? Yes and no. I've been reading both more trashy books and more high quality books. So it's gone uphill and downhill. And have I been reading more non-fiction books? I've selected a few more. I try to listen to them, but I can be quite slow. So I'm like still finishing Empire of AI, which I started like a month ago now. In terms of the tangible goals for this, I wanted to limit myself to 12 new unread books by the end of the year. We can't check this one off until the end of the year, but I think we're on our way. I wanted to read 25 books that are not rereads or Kindle Unlimited books. So far, I can't guarantee that because I'm a little bit behind on my goal, and in that goal, there were definitely some Kindle Unlimited books. I wanted to read 4 non-fiction books or listen to 4 non-fiction audiobooks, and I think I'll be able to do this one. There's a ton of months left in the year, and I have already listened to 2, I think. Finally, my last category was financial. So for my mindset goals, in terms of financial goals, I wanted to continue doing a low buy year, especially with clothes, continue saving for emergencies and build up a fund, and continue investing. So far, I've been pretty good with all 3 of these. I've bought more items for when I had my best friend's wedding, and that's probably what I spent the most money on in terms of clothes, because I had to buy my bridesmaid's dress, shoes, etc. But other than that, I've not spent much on clothes. I bought these glasses, which were like 145 quid from Ace and Tate. So I did buy this, but frankly, it wasn't a necessity to be from this specific brand, which is not cheap. But my glasses actually broke fully, like the branch, whatever you call that, like the arm of it, broke off fully. And then I had to do an eye test anyway around the same time. So I was like, okay, I might as well and then buy new glasses with a new prescription. But that's probably my biggest buy in terms of fashion accessory of the year. And yes, I could have gone with a cheaper one if I wanted to. My tangible goals in terms of the financial goals were to buy new clothes only 4 months in the year, save 3,000 into my emergency fund, and get to 10,000 in my investments. Again, all of these I think I can only really check at the very end of the year, but I would say I have so far been absolutely fine with the first goal of buying clothes only 4 months of the year. Save 3,000 in my emergency fund. I think I'm a little bit behind on this because I have been saving more money into my other buckets, and then get to 10k in my investments. Again, something we can check on at the end of the year. I think it's achievable. I might have to like put a little bit more at the very end of the year to get there, depending on how the stocks go, because I'm only investing in ETFs, which is easy peasy. But obviously every week the orange man says something different about the ongoing war, and it does impact what's happening in terms of money out there that I've got invested. So will it reach that level? And that's it. Those are all of the goals I had set up for the beginning of the year. I feel like I was quite good at not overwhelming myself with impossible goals or a bunch of really data heavy goals, like, you know, do this number of that, buy this number of this. I think I've kept it to a minimum, and I'm happy with that because it'll be easier to track, it's less pressure, and I still feel good about achieving all these goals because all of those feel like pretty healthy for me and good to do. So yeah, I'll tell you what, as I'm currently going through this mini slump or whatever it is, this felt quite nice to see what I have already achieved instead of feeling bad about myself that I'm wasting time doing nothing during my weekends and not being productive for myself. I get to feel good about the things I did do, and finishing draft 2 of Rules of Survival in the span of like 4 months. I did 2 months of prep and then 4 months of revisions, and giving it to my critique partners and getting already early good feedback in terms of the pacing and addictiveness of the story. All that feels pretty good, so I shouldn't feel too bad about taking time to do nothing. Do let me know in the comments if you yourself have gone recently through a slump in terms of your creativity or writing, what you did about it. If you have any amazing solutions, I'm all ears. I would love to hear anything. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.